Great. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Danielle Goldman. I am co-founder and executive director of Open Avenues Foundation. We are so excited to do these monthly information sessions to provide you with information about CAP-exempt H-1Bs in general, and also about Open Avenues CAP-exempt H-1B program called the Global Talent Fellowship. We're going to start off with an overview about Open Avenues, who we are, what we're doing, and we will go through the CAP-exempt H-1B solution. We typically spend about a half an hour going through the first part of this session. We'll discuss the fellowship opportunity and how to get involved, and then we will open it up to questions. And we take a half an hour at the end for questions, so make sure to hang on so you can begin to ask anything that is relevant to you. Fantastic. So we will move forward. This is the Open Avenues leadership team. So I said, my name is Danielle. I'm co-founder and executive director here at Open Avenues. I co-founded with Jeff Goldman, who you will notice we have the same last name. He is my father, and he has been an immigration attorney for the last 30 plus years. So we will I'll tell you more about Jeff and his experience in CAP-exempt H-1Bs moving forward. I also have Erin Carlini, who is the Immigration Program Coordinator. She is on the call today and will be a point of contact for anybody who wants to move forward with an application process. She's fantastic. You will really enjoy working with her if you come on board as a fellow. Elena and Rua run our education programming, which we will also discuss more about throughout the call. Open Avenues is a nonprofit organization. Jeff and I started Open Avenues back in 2018, and our mission has always been to demonstrate that foreign nationals in the United States can add immense positive value to our economy and to society. And all the programming that we build at Open Avenues demonstrates that value and creates opportunities and pathways for foreign nationals to stay in the United States, contribute in the United States, and train the future US workforce. And that's where all of our education programming has been built out of. So excited to tell you more about the fellowship and all of that work we're doing to demonstrate value of foreign talent. I want to start by talking about the reality of the H-1B visa, because most of you on this call today are here because you either lost the H-1B lottery, you only have a few chances left in the H-1B lottery, or potentially you are an immigration attorney or an employer who has clients or employees who face this lottery annually, and we know that it's an incredibly restrictive process in the United States. So an H-1B visa is the most common work visa in the US for foreign workers, open to individuals who graduate from US universities or want to come from abroad. However, despite how that it is the most popular visa, there is an annual lottery system where 85,000 individuals are selected per year in a completely randomized lottery. There is absolutely no exception for individuals who have a specific type of degree. It is not based on industry demand. It does not matter what country you come from. It is a lottery system that is completely randomized. There is the first 20,000 are selected from master's degree candidates. So there is a little bit of a statistical advantage if you have a master's degree from a US university. To qualify for an H-1B, and this is the same for a CAP-exempt H-1B, you must have at least a bachelor's degree in a specialty field. The Department of Labor has a list of specialty occupations in the United States, and you have to have a degree related to the occupation in which you work. So a really strong H-1B case would be, for example, an individual with a software development degree or a computer science degree that is going into the field of software development or computer science, right? And that's a very straightforward case for an H-1B, really strong petition that can be developed with that evidence. What's a little harder is if you have a general degree in business and you want to work in a specific field of product development, right? We have to do a little more digging to make sure we can find the courses that have prepared you to do the work as a product developer. So there are a lot of elements that go into that evaluation for a specialty occupation. But if you haven't talked to a lawyer about what your specialty occupation is, and if you have a good H-1B case, that's a great first step to know if you're qualified for an H-1B visa in the United States. If you apply for the Open Avenues Fellowship Program, we do evaluations for candidates that we think could be a solid prospect for the fellowship. Now, the reality of the H-1B lottery this year was pretty dramatic. The number of registrants were more than 480,000, which is unprecedented in the United States. And of course, to fill that cap of 85,000, they actually selected more than 85,000 registrants into the lottery. They selected 126,000 in anticipation that only 85,000 would actually file a petition. So they've made adjustments over time based on their experience with how many selections they make in the lottery and how many people move forward to file a petition and actually fill the cap of 85,000. There was a 26% chance of getting selected in the lottery this year. So again, really frustrating for a lot of individuals and equally as frustrating for employers who are trying to retain talent or hire new talent. However, there are a few types of organizations in the United States that can file CAP-exempt H-1B work visas. CAP-exempt H-1B work visas are not subject to the lottery. They are exempt from the cap of 85,000 H-1Bs annually. And they can be filed and approved at any time of year. So on the previous slide, what I didn't write was that lottery only happens annually once a year in March. And if your OPT expires or you want to come to the United States outside of that March annual cycle, you have to wait until March to enter into that lottery. But CAP-exempt H-1Bs can be filed and approved at any time throughout the year. Outside of that lottery cycle, Open Avenues is getting these approved in 6 to 8 weeks. So it can be done very quickly. Premium processing is 15 days to get a response from USCIS. It is available. And it has the same qualifications as an H-1B visa. So we just discussed what a specialty occupation is, and we talked about the reality of the H-1B and the master's degree or bachelor's degree that are necessary for the H-1B. Same for a CAP-exempt H-1B. So the 4 types of organizations that can always file CAP-exempt H-1B work visas are universities, government research organizations, nonprofit research organizations, and nonprofits that are affiliated with a university. So Open Avenues Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are affiliated with 9, actually. I just added UC Merced because we just contracted with them yesterday, 9 partner colleges and universities in the United States. This makes Open Avenues CAP-exempt, and it means that we can file CAP-exempt H-1B visas for any of our employees, part-time or full-time. So this is great for Open Avenues employees. We can file H-1B CAP-exempt H-1B visas for foreign nationals for part-time work with Open Avenues, but how does that help employers keep foreign talent or foreign talent to continue to work full-time for a US employer that's not CAP-exempt, right? Many of you are working at high-tech companies, biotech companies, financial institutions. How can they retain you? Because they're not one of those 4 CAP-exempt organizations. But the law says that once an individual is in CAP exempt H-1B status with a CAP exempt organization, any US employer that is not CAP exempt can also file a CAP exempt H-1B work visa. So Open Avenues is able to sponsor a part-time H-1B CAP exempt for our employees, and it opens the door for any employer to then file a full-time CAP exempt H-1B. So we run a program called the Global Talent Fellowship. And fellows in our program are foreign nationals who are top talent in a variety of STEM and business fields. We list a few here. This is not a comprehensive list, but it is an indicator of the most popular fellowship fields that we take on candidates in. And we hire foreign talent for 5 hours per week of part-time employment to work for Open Avenues and lead real-world industry-driven experiences for students at our partner schools. And what these projects or experiential learning opportunities look like are the micro internships, which you can see on the right, which are 6 to 8 week paid industry challenges that our fellows lead for students throughout the year. We have in-class projects where we actually will go into a classroom and we'll have a fellow work with a professor to launch a project in the class that the students get for credit. And then we have our fellows participate in a variety of industry panels or workshops. In the future, we want to do hackathons, opportunities where our fellows are able to showcase their industry knowledge, help build students and give students experience in a variety of fields. And you can see from our chart here that what we're trying to do as a whole in our fellowship is to help companies retain global talent, have global talent educate students at our partner schools and educate that future workforce, and then help students become future STEM and business leaders. And as we talked about, our mission as an organization is to demonstrate the value that foreign talent are able to bring to the United States. And this program does just that. We've trained more than 300 students at our partner schools in the last few years. We have more than 55 fellows who have gone through our program, probably more like 70 fellows who have gone through our program and worked alongside those students to lead project-based opportunities. So really exciting work that's being done by our fellows. So who's eligible for our fellowship? It is for candidates who have a bachelor's, master's, or PhD in a STEM or business-related field. You have to have at least 2 years of work experience, ideally, because we want to put industry leaders in front of our students, right? We want individuals who have industry experience that they can share and impart knowledge on what it really means to work in the US workforce. And then we look for experience mentoring or working with students. Have you been a TA? Have you led a student group on campus? Do you manage peers in your day-to-day job? And obviously, the most important component is that you have to have a US employer who is willing to partner with Open Avenues and nominate you for the fellowship. We do not take foreign nationals directly into our fellowship. They must come with an employer that is willing to sponsor a full-time CAP exempt H-1B. We talked about the concurrent employment solution, how Open Avenue sponsors 5 hours per week and a full-time employer sponsors for full-time work. And that is why we require a full-time employer to come and nominate an individual, partner with Open Avenues, sign an agreement with Open Avenues, and ultimately they are financially responsible for the fellowship program. For the application process, employers are able to nominate fellows for the fellowship, nominate foreign national employees for the fellowship. These can be current or future employees. So You can, we have many folks that are about to start at a company and that they are being nominated by an employer. We have a lot of folks who have done 1 to 3 years of OPT at a company, and that employer is nominating them for the fellowship. This can be done on our website, and we also will take emails from employers and schedule consultations. So the consultation is scheduled with the employer and the foreign national. That is when we talk through the details of the program, how this would work. We get a little more information about your visa status. We talk to the company about what the financial commitment is. And then if everybody agrees, we will move forward and do an evaluation of your specialty occupation, of the foreign national specialty occupation, and we'll conduct a screening call. If we determine that you have a good H-1B case and we think you'd be a good fit for the program, you would be good in front of students, you understand that this is not just a visa solution, but also an actual fellowship opportunity and a leadership opportunity and a commitment to work with students in your field, then we will accept you into the program, sign a contract with your company, and move forward with petition development. Companies are responsible for the financial commitment of the fellowship program. Foreign nationals cannot pay this themselves. Again, foreign nationals can never pay for their own visa, and they cannot pay for our fellowship, which does include sponsorship. So the initiation fee for the program, which includes Open Avenues, CAP exempt H-1B, and the government filing fees, premium processing fees, is $16,000 due upfront, one-time fee that allows us to get a visa approved for a fellow in 6 to 8 weeks. Upon approval, and when an individual starts in the fellowship program in the United States, we charge a quarterly fee of $3,500 per quarter. Those are program fees. They allow us to run our educational programming. We actually pay students stipends to complete our projects with our fellows, and obviously the operational cost to continue to run Open Avenues. So those are the fees. The program dues are paid consistently until an individual exits the program. So the reason we charge a quarterly fee is because everybody's in our program for a different amount of time. Some individuals are in our program for 6 months because they won the lottery and they need a solution until October 1st. Other individuals are in the program for a year and a half because they've lost the lottery and they don't win until the following year. We file 3-year work visas, H-1B work visas for our fellows, so you can stay in the program up to 3 years. We would be willing to extend it longer if needed, but obviously each year you are going to enter the lottery, or you're going to see if you're eligible for a green card or another visa solution. The last piece of the financial commitment is a salary share. So the salary share is basically it's a share of the total salary that the foreign national's full-time employer has offered. We don't want to burden employers with an additional cost to the program, but we have to pay the fair wage for 5 hours of work per week that foreign nationals are our employees. So the way that we do that is we actually calculate and we subtract a portion of the existing salary that is offered to the employee, and we take that off the top of what is offered by the full-time employer. The employer pays the remainder. For example, if the employer has offered the foreign national $100,000 of salary, we will calculate 5 hours per week at the fair wage for your specialty field. Let's say it comes to $10,000 annually. Open Avenues will actually invoice for that $10,000 quarterly, and the remaining $90,000 will be paid directly from the company to the foreign national. The $10,000 will be paid to the foreign national from Open Avenues. So company is paying out the $100,000, foreign national is receiving $100,000, but it's going to come from both employers because we are concurrently employing the foreign national. So we have 55 partner companies. I only have some of the logos on here, but I will continue to add them in. We have 100% approval rating for our fellows in our program. We're really proud of it. We've worked really hard over the last 4 years to build out strong strategies to do these CAP exempt H-1B petitions. We also run really exciting programming with our universities, and USCIS has done audits and they've seen the kind of programming we run. They've looked into what our fellows are doing for those 5 hours per week, and they consistently say, this looks good. And when you are pitching this to an employer, there are multiple benefits that a company gets when they commit to nominating a foreign national for our fellowship. Obviously, they get the immigration solution, but they also are providing a leadership development opportunity to our foreign national, and they're supporting the growth of their own pipeline development because all of our fellows are training US students in their field of expertise and launching projects that are related to the type of work that is done at their company full-time, at their full-time company. So we are able to actually provide candidates to our company partners. And that is very valuable, especially in today's climate when talent in many industries is hard to find. So to apply for our fellowship, for companies, they can nominate a candidate on our website to schedule a consultation. And for foreign nationals, you can go to our website and fill out the form there. That will provide more information. You'll get our handout, the one pager, a link to a recording of our session, and it will also give you steps on how to have your company nominate you. But we are not scheduling one-on-one sessions with foreign nationals directly because it is required to do our fellowship program that you have a company that is nominating you. So I will now open it up to questions, and I will stop sharing my screen. So if folks want to either write questions in the chat, Erin can help monitor the chat, or if people want to hop on and ask a question, you certainly can do that as well. Yep.
Hello.
So how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Happy to take a question from you.
So the question I have for the trainings that an employee would be doing with Open Avenue, are they like remote, or is that something they'll have to move to a physical location?
Great question. I totally missed it. All of our fellowships are done remotely. So we have fellows in more than 18 states right now, all over the US, leading all of our programming with university partners remotely. No requirement for travel or moving. Anyone else want to hop in?
Yes.
Yep.
I have a quick question. So you said in one of your presentation slides that the candidate should have OPT 2+ years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a mandatory, or does the person have to be an F1? For example, say a person A has a foreign national experience of 5 years as a software developer, came here on another work visa, on another dependent visa, but still they've got from their foreign university, which is STEM related, which is related to computer science. So I was just wondering, is OPT a must for this kind of opportunity?
Thank you for bringing this up. I did not mean to say that it was a requirement that you have OPT, but it does count towards work experience. So we have fellows come into our program from a variety of visa categories. We have folks that are on L1s that are expiring, folks that are coming from outside the US with no status. We have individuals, who are on, some F1 or have never done OPT, and that's totally okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Sure. Erin, thanks for hopping in. Do you want to facilitate some of these questions in the chat?
Of course. And hi, great to meet everyone. Danielle, tell us a little bit about company nominations. Can a company nominate more than one employee?
Yes, absolutely. So companies can nominate more than one employee for the program. We've done, I think, right as of now, the most we've done per company at one time was 3. We are working with some other corporations right now to build, small fellowships that are meant just for their staff, which would include tens of fellowships. Those are for larger corporations. But as of now, we're working with mostly small to mid-sized companies where they are able to offer this to one or a couple of employees that are key and critical for their growth.
And tell us a little bit about best ways or things you've learned on how to talk about this program to employers.
Yeah, absolutely. So from our experience, this is easier if you've already been working for an employer and you have demonstrated your value to a company, and you're going to your own employer and you're saying, hey, I really don't want to leave your company. I know you don't want to lose me. This is a great plan B solution to the lottery. For those folks, or for individuals that are approaching companies that they want to get hired at for the first time, the best way to talk about this is that it eliminates the risk of hiring someone in OPT or someone who has to enter into that randomized H-1B lottery system. It's also an amazing professional development opportunity for you as a foreign national that you can, potentially pitch as, maybe leveraging some of the professional development funds that you would get. You might offer to structure your salary a bit differently or stock options a bit differently based on how the price of this program plays out. Additionally, huge benefits for the company are that you would be spending 5 hours per week essentially doing recruiting for this company. For those 5 hours per week, you're going to be training US students at our partner schools and leading them in a project that is relevant to your company. And so that is a huge win for the company as well. And many of them have community impact projects or social impact, arms of the company that they would really like to collect those stories, that data, and leverage it for reputational purposes. So that is also beneficial for the company.
Amazing. And there's a clarification around the 5 hours. Is it okay to just be working those 5 hours a week?
So you have to work the 5 hours per week for Open Avenues. You cannot do Open Avenues program without having a concurrent employer that is going to sponsor you full time for a CAP exempt H-1B. So you never are just working 5 hours per week. You're going to be working 5 hours for Open Avenues and full time for your employer. Is that answer? Does that person want to clarify any more on that?
Yes, actually. So, from what I've researched, when I add a second employer, let's say I'm working full time for 40 hours for employer 1, and if I'm adding an Open Avenues as my second employer, and I'm on my STEM OPT, it is required to be at least 20 plus hours.
Okay. So Open Avenues, when we file a CAP exempt H-1B, we file a change of status from OPT or whatever status you're in to CAP exempt H-1B. You will no longer have your STEM OPT once you are approved for an Open Avenues visa. You will be in a 5 hour per week employment with Open Avenues on cap exempt H-1B. That will be your status that you hold in the United States. And then your full-time employer is able to file a 40-hour a week full-time cap exempt H-1B as well. You can work on more than one visa in the United States. It just can't be an unreasonable amount of work. So you can't work, we wouldn't file a full-time visa and file a full-time visa for a concurrent employer. It's a part-time visa for Open Avenues because that plus 40 hours per week is a doable amount of time on an H-1B.
That does answer my question. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Danielle, just a quick clarification on that one.
Yep.
What is the further process for cap exempt H-1B? Is it again the lottery system, or is it like concurrent?
The cap exempt H-1Bs are not subject to the lottery system at all. So we can file these at any time throughout the year, and we check a box that says we are a cap exempt organization and you don't have to enter the lottery. When I said to everybody that you will enter the lottery every year during your fellowship, I said that because no one wants to continue to work for Open Avenues and your employer. Ideally, you just work for your employer. It's an amazing experience to be in this fellowship, but of course we want your employer to have a way to get you into regular H-1B status so that you can just work for your employer. So we can file these visas at any time, but in each lottery of the subsequent years, you will enter into that lottery until you win.
All right. Well, it sounds like a win-win for everyone. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Hey Dan, quick question. The one area that I find an employer might hesitate is on the charges that will incur on them to sponsor an employee through this program. So could you talk a little bit about how does these charges that Open Avenue charges the employer compare with a regular H-1B filing process?
Sure. These are much more expensive than a regular H-1B filing process, in which you're spending probably around $5,000 to $6,000 on one petition for an H-1B visa. However, if you don't win, I can guarantee, and what we based our pricing off of course, we have high costs, but the other factor that we based our pricing off of is the cost to a company when they lose talent. It is exorbitant because they have to pay for recruiters, and they have to pay, they lose productivity, and they have to have individuals spend time onboarding new folks. That is more than the cost of our program. So while it costs $5,000 to $6,000 to file a regular H-1B, if someone doesn't win that lottery and they don't have an option, it costs more to replace them, and it costs more to transfer them abroad.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Did someone just raise their hand?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Quick question. So when you say 5+ hours, is it per week, right?
It's 5 hours per week, correct?
Correct. Okay, my follow-up question is, if the company is able to file a concurrent visa after the Open Avenues visa gets cap exempt visa, not cap exempt visa gets approved, does they have to work with the same employer, or can the employer have client, or does the project has to be based upon under the employer directly, or for example, in softwares, like you work for a consulting services, say IBM, and then IBM can have a client, which is say AT&T, example. So how?
Right. So Open Avenues is going to contract with your main employer, right? That employer is going to be the one that nominates you for the fellowship, It's going to be the employer that works directly with Open Avenues to sign a contract and do all of the partnership work.
Mhm.
When you launch projects, we're going to make the project relevant to the work that you're doing on a daily basis. So
Mhm.
it'll depend mostly on the legal teams of the company and
Mhm.
whose logo they're going to let us use on a project that
Uh-huh.
you're launching. But if you're a software developer, we just want you launching software development projects. We don't care as much who it's for.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Yeah, just wanted to get clarification on that. Perfect. Thanks.
Is there an employer fees subjected to, I mean, if my employer is partnering with Open Avenues, does my employer need to pay some amount to Open Avenues in order to sustain the sponsorship or the contract between, how are things going to work between you both?
Right. So we charge the $16,000 initiation fee, and we charge $3,500 per quarter
But
for as
that's
long
gonna
as you.
be
That's the employer.
that's the employer fees. All right. I thought it was coming out of my pocket.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we absolutely never charge a foreign national for the program. We only contract with companies that are willing to nominate individuals and pay for this fellowship.
All right. All right.
Yes, we do not take individuals into the program.
All right. So I know this is a platform for questioning and stuff, but I have a quick case for you that's currently ongoing with my one of my friends. So he has exhausted all of his like OPT, like H-1B filing attempts for this year, and he has to go back to India because he has a wife, his family over here, and he has to leave everything and go back to India. So the problem is he's working for a top-notch tech company, and they have retained his employment status, but in a different country for the subsequent year. And then they're going to file H-1B once again. So is there anything at this point that my friend could do in association with like Open Avenues, so that he can like right now file for H-1B exempt?
Yeah, he can introduce us to his employer and we can have a conversation with them about this option. They would need to contract with us and they would need to pay us. And I know that the problem is if we're talking about an Amazon or a Google or Meta or one of these large companies, it's hard to get in front of the right people. The only other opportunity is for him to, I don't know if, he has a friend who is a startup founder that can kind of give him a job and do this for him. You can also do this for your own company if you have funding to do that and you've established your own company, and you're far enough along in that startup process. But the only thing I can sort of say is we can talk to his employer like we would any of our nominating company partners, or he tries to find another company that will sponsor the cap exempt H-1B.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks.
Sure. Anyone else want to hop in?
Yeah. So when you file or petition for like for the cap exempt H-1B, that buys us the time for 3 years. Now, does the employer also file a cap exempt H-1B in that time, or the non-cap exempt H-1B, or they do both? First, they do the exempt one, and then that buys the employer time to keep us full-time, and then they will do the regular H-1. I just want to understand that part.
Totally. Open Avenues visa is a part-time visa, and a concurrent employer, your full-time employer, or the full-time employer will file a full-time H-1B themselves. So they file their own cap exempt H-1B. So you will hold, as a foreign national, an H-1B with open avenues for 5 hours a week of work, and you will hold a full-time cap exempt H-1B with a company that has filed the concurrent visa. When you win the lottery, you leave open avenues program, you graduate from the fellowship, and the full-time employer files a regular H-1B for you, and you are only in status with that company.
Thank you. That really clarifies it.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Erin, are there more one from the
There
chat?
are a couple more
Cool.
that came in through chat. Oh, it
Sorry,
looks like we have a,
I have another question. I'm bombarding
Oh.
you guys with questions.
Sure, that's okay. That's okay.
Uh,
We have time.
is there a maximum amount of time period that this particular visa can be used? Because, for example, in a regular H-1B, if without I-140 being filed, it's maximum of 6 years. So
Right.
do you have
Right.
anything such?
It's the same. It's the same as an H-1B. It's 6 years.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Someone else raise their hand?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually had a two-part question. The first thing was that I wanted to know what happens if, for example, we get laid off with our main employer, or like if for any reason we have to change our jobs, what is the process? And the
Great.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'll start there. It's a great question, and it's happened, as everyone knows right now, with the stock market crashing and the impending crisis. There are companies that are scrambling and with staff and figuring out what to do with their current talent. So we had a couple of fellows in the last year who were laid off from their jobs. We will keep the fellows in our program as long as we possibly and legally can, until they find another job. I'm working very hard with our team to figure out the best way to make sure that we're giving our fellows the opportunity to find that next employer. We have not had to let anyone go and revoke their status yet. We've given an unpaid leave of absence, which allowed people to retain their status while taking time off to figure out their next steps. So we have some strategic ways that we've sort of navigated this, but our goal is to continue to employ our fellows part-time until they find that next full-time job. If you want to leave your employer that has contracted with us, we need to have a separate discussion about that, because we have a conflict of interest. We've contracted with your company, we've helped them retain you, and you want to leave. It's possible, you can do it. We've also had that happen, but we need to just work through how Open Avenues is involved in that process.
Thank you. The other question I had was about whether the employers can file for green card with this cap exempt H-1B.
They absolutely can, and it's encouraged. The moment you're in H-1B, you have dual intent, and you can file for a green card. If your employer is immigrant friendly and they're willing to support you with a green card and an H-1B, amazing. Especially if you're from India and China, you should get in line and start that process as soon as possible with your priority, so to get us a sooner priority date. So absolutely, that is something you should do.
Thank you. I just had one last question. So what
Sure.
would you suggest would be the ideal timeline between when we can start this fellowship and introducing the employer to Open Avenues?
Yep. So it takes us 6 to 8 weeks to get a visa approved. Takes us, a variety. There's also the contracting period and evaluation period. So coming to us 3 months to 4 months before you are expiring, your status is expiring is ideal. Erin and I know very well that some individuals have come to us when their status is about to expire next week. Everybody has a grace period, where you can be in the United States while we put together a petition. So we can do this in 6 to 8 weeks once we contract, and there's a variety of timelines we've seen work. But I'd say ideally about 3 to 4 months prior to your expiration of your status is an ideal time for you to come to us.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Hi, quick question. Can you talk about a little bit more about the salary cut that you said, like based on the range? For example, if somebody is earning like 100K, you said part of 10K would be paid by the employee and rest by employer. So can you talk about that a little bit more?
Not paid by the employee. Sorry, I think I explained it. It was a little confusing. So the salary share is meant to just be no change in the cost that the company is going to pay for salary for you. So if they're going to pay you, if they've offered you in your verbally, they've offered you, or in their contract, they've offered you $100,000 of salary, that's still going to be what they are going to pay to you. But a portion of that is going to be invoiced through Open Avenues Foundation and paid by us to the employee, because we need to pay a salary too. So essentially that total 100,000 or the total salary offered is still going to be paid by the company and received by the foreign national, but a portion will be invoiced to Open Avenues and paid through our payroll. Does that make more sense?
Got it, but it will still be the employer amount, but it will be paid by or coming from Open Avenues.
And it's coming from both. A portion is coming through Open Avenues. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we're going to turn over to the chat unless someone else has a question. I think someone's asking. Anyone else? Okay.
I'll jump in with a couple of the chat
Perfect.
questions. And if you have questions and want to say them, feel free to jump off mute. Does the employer file the cap exempt H-1B only after the cap exempt from Open Avenues is approved? And could you talk a little bit about that timeline?
Yes. Once Open Avenues receives an approval on one of our cap exempt H-1Bs in that 6 to 8 week timeline that we discussed, immediately after, we're going to get a physical approval notice in the mail, which can take about 3 days. And once a company receives that approval notice, once we receive that approval notice, a company is immediately able to file their own petition. So Erin and I work very hard to make sure that the law firm filing the company's petition is ready with the petition and ready to file as soon as you get the approval notice. Because as soon as your full-time employer and that law firm files the concurrent H-1B for you, you can start working as soon as it's filed.
I had a quick question. What would the process look like for someone who is doing their second master's program and on their day one CPT, but they have their employer ready to go this route? So would it be like the process is initiated and then we would, wait till we complete the program, or just a little bit of clarification around that would be helpful.
Right. It'll depend if you want to complete the program or not. One option is just transitioning from your F1 and CPT to cap exempt H-1B, and you don't need to finish the program. I know a lot of folks do a CPT program because they have to, not because they want to. So if you don't care about the degree and you just want to be in H-1B status, we can do that immediately and at any time. If you want to finish the program because you paid for it and you want that extra degree on your resume, we can anticipate the end date of your program and then file for that end date. So if you're finishing up in May of next year, then we can, anticipate that we would, and do the cap exempt H-1B for you starting in May.
Would that impact the approval of H-1B? Should we be, wanting to travel outside of the US and then get the stamp to come back in? Would that have an impact at all? Because would that be like a Dropbox, or would that be like consular processing to get the H-1B stamp?
Mm-hmm. Right. So you're asking a couple of questions. It doesn't, your CPT or transitioning into H-1B from CPT does not impact any of the petition's approval. I think we've had some RFEs on folks that are coming from CPT to H-1B. So we include a lot of materials about the legitimacy of your CPT program. In terms of travel, if you want to leave the United States, you must get we file. So if you're in the United States, you're on CPT, OPT, any of these other statuses, we're going to file a change of status for you. You stay in the United States until we get that change of status approved. And then you hold an H-1B work visa. Sorry, you hold an H-1B. To get the visa, which will allow you to travel internationally, you're going to make an appointment at your US consulate in your home country, and you will travel intentionally at that time to go get the visa stamp on your passport, and then you can travel easily back and forth. For folks outside of the United States, we do have to file with consular processing. And that means you have to wait to get a visa stamp on your passport even after you have the approval before you come into the US. So we don't have control over how long those appointments take, and that's pretty challenging. So to the extent to which you can stay in the US and file for change of status, it's a much better and easier situation.
Got it. Thank you.
Danielle, could you discuss how, in your perspective, the fellows manage both their full-time job along with the 5 hours a week with Open Avenues?
Yeah, we've built the program intentionally to have those 5 hours per week be manageable and doable for you to do alongside your full-time work. We have fellows that are working for startups, for very high demand companies, and they're working much more than 40 hours per week for their concurrent and for their full-time employer. We have you working about 1 hour per week actually with students, and the remainder of time is spent filling out documents for Open Avenues or joining our Open Avenues meetings. If 1 week you need to work 2 hours and the next week you need to work more than 5 hours to make up for that time, that's okay too. Our education team that manages your fellowship will be flexible to make sure that we reach our goal, which is that you're working consistently with Open Avenues in your field of expertise to benefit students, and that you're able to manage the work that you're doing for your company. But you have to prioritize the work for the fellowship as well.
And are there specific time periods that you accept applications?
Yeah, so right now we take applications throughout the entire year, and we will continue to take applications on a rolling basis throughout the year. Erin and I are working to create cohorts where you'd actually start at 4 different points throughout the year in the fellowship to make this more of a community where you'd come on board not just by yourself, but with a cohort of other fellows. So while you can always apply for the fellowship, we might have specific start dates starting in 2023.
And Danielle, in terms of total cost, it would be the $16,000, the $3,500 quarterly, and then the legal fees and filing fees for the cap exempt H-1B for the full-time employer, correct?
Absolutely correct.
And also, is premium processing recommended on the full-time employer side? given that Open Avenues does premium processing as well?
Great question. Premium processing is not required on the concurrent visa. It doesn't matter if you file premium or not. We've seen no change in approval rating. We've seen requests for evidence on both people that file with premium and individuals that file, or companies that file regular processing, and all of the RFEs are the same. They asked for us to prove that you've actually started and are continuing to work for Open Avenues, and we have all of that tracked, so it's very easy for us to send. So no, it does not matter whether you file premium or not on the concurrent visa.
I have one question. I think you touched in the very beginning. Open Avenues is eligible to apply for CAP exempt H-1Bs because it's affiliated to 9 nonprofit organizations, universities in this case. And then what was the statement in the law that makes full-time regular employers eligible to be able to file the CAP exempt H-1Bs?
Right. So there's a piece of the law that says you can file a concurrent CAP exempt H1, a concurrent visa petition, and you're able to check off the CAP exempt box. I don't have the legal, the piece of the law in front of me, but I can get that to you if you're curious.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that because I think that really help if I have to pitch it to the employer.
Okay, so you can get in
Thank
touch
you.
with us and we can get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
And those are all the questions from chat, unless someone would like to jump off mute with the last final question or two.
When will this recording be available, or like how we can access this?
Sure. Yes, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and I will also just send a note out to everybody who registered for the Eventbrite today. So you'll get a note through Eventbrite, check your spam, or you can Google Open Avenues on YouTube, and we have actually all the recordings for our information sessions from the last year up there. So you can check that out as well.
Thank you
And
so much.
of course, and for some folks that were requesting more information about the program, I am sorry about that broken link. I will make sure that we get that fixed. And Erin and I will send a note out to follow up with the one pager and also the link to this recording and the handout. That will be helpful as you go talk to employers or spread the word about the program. Thank you everyone for your questions, for making this an engaging session. We are always happy to continue to be a resource for you. So on our website, you can sign up for a newsletter at the bottom of the website. Erin, is there a survey we wanted to drop in here as well?
There is. I just sent a link to a survey, and we would love your input and suggestions as we think about launching this newsletter, because we really want to have great quality content that really gives you what you're looking for. So we would love your input on this quick 2-minute survey.
Yeah, we're trying to understand more about what we can provide in terms of immigration resources for you, whether it's more about CAP exempt H-1Bs in our fellowship or more, information about news and immigration. So if you could fill that out, that would be really helpful to us so that we can help you with the information that you need. So that would be great. Thank you. Thank you everyone. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.